Hello everybody, welcome to our DVC journey. Joined again with my nephews, Sean and Lauren. If you've seen one of our previous videos, we were talking with Sean and Lauren. They had rented DVC points from a member at an 11-month booking window, and as you can see, we're at Old Key West. But now that they've rented points and they've seen the property, or one of the properties, you guys actually did go to a couple of other properties, DVC resorts.
Yeah.
You went to the Polynesian, you went to the Grand Floridian, you've been at Old Key West. I don't know if you've had any exposure to any other DVC properties, but anyway, you've seen the properties, how beautiful they are. You've rented points. Sean, you've stayed several times at DVC properties with our family. Lauren, this was your first time at DVC. So you've rented points. Now the question comes up, have you ever considered becoming a DVC member? There's no right answer or wrong answer. It just is, what were the pros and cons in weighing that out? Sean, what about yourself? You've been here leeching off of my family for you've been here several times, staying with us, welcomed. Always have an open spot for you. With our family, enjoying the accommodations and all. Pros and cons of, staying on property, DVC specifically, and purchasing DVC, right or wrong?
So definitely the pros, obviously you're here, you're on property, and you get all the amenities that come along with it. So like in the previous video we did, a room like this where you have the full kitchen and the washer and dryer, and the space, especially in Old Key West, is huge when you're sharing it with a larger family, and you're here for like a week or 10 days or whatever it is. So it's a huge perk, obviously, to have that, but the money that's involved with staying at a deluxe resort like this versus maybe even something like one of the All-Star.
The value resorts.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
The DVC points, what was the second question again?
As far as, the pros and cons of staying at a resort, you talked about a lot of the pros. One of the cons, of course, is the major thing is the financial side of it. You've considered it before, and what would, obviously it comes down to money, but is there anything else that you would see as a con for this? Would you utilize it? Really, as far as buying DVC?
Yes, that would be the other thing, is besides the cost would be how often can you utilize it. We're coming down from Michigan, so it would be once a year type of trip. You gotta stay. It can't be like, hey, I have 2 weekends or 3 weekends a year, because the cost of flying down would just obviously
add to the expense.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. So it'd be something that if you're looking into it, my wife and I have talked about it several times now. It's still something that we still talk about. I'd love it. She would love it too. But it's okay. Now it's a commitment, because you've got to know, hey, we're gonna use this. You got to come every year, or every other year with the points, because you
can bank and borrow.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah.
So
you have done research.
I have done lots of research on it, buying resale points versus buying direct. So lots of research has been done. The cost comes down to it, and I guess just how often would we actually be able to use it, which the more that our family talks about it is probably would be likely, because I am down here leeching off of your family's
and no,
couch surfing at Old Key West.
Yes, but you're always welcome. But you have a little boy, a son, you and your wife, and you brought up a point as far as having the washer and dryer. Of course, baby's got to eat, so just the convenience of having that, and you brought up not only rental but buying direct or resale points. So there's a lot of different options, but really it comes down to whether it's right for your family or not. So. With you, Lauren, one thing that I'd like to mention is that talking to your wife, Jenny, she had said that On your stay, your most recent stay, you started at the Value Resort. You mentioned that in the last video.
Yeah.
And that the room was nice. Of
Yeah,
course,
absolutely.
the theming, is over the top.
Theming was on point, right?
Yeah,
It's what you expect when you
yes.
think magical Disney.
Yeah, and you've got the two kids, a younger son and a younger daughter. She walked into the room at the Value Resort, and it's your typical, hotel room.
Yeah.
So sizing and all of that. But then once you got in there, it's all the luggage. Now she said, imagine if we were staying there for the whole week. We had no room to move around.
Yeah.
So looking at that, there's a pro is size of room. Right?
Yeah, so a pro for Old Key West is obviously the size of the room, and just the bedrooms alone are about the size of the room that we stayed in at the All-Star Movie Resort. I think that, once again, if you're going to come make it an enjoyable vacation, you got to kind of consider those things. It sounds like actually you talked to my wife more than I did. So I was going to say, if this is going on the internet, please don't let my wife know that I've started to think about things like this. Right? Because that's a team decision.
Right.
But yeah, I think the size of the room is a big thing, and that's a thing that everybody's got to consider.
Yeah.
We obviously are a family that has to consider our budget and resources that we can, as well as opportunity costs. Where could that money go make an experience somewhere else?
Right.
And so, just like Sean was saying, that commitment and knowing like this is going to be something we're always going to do. This whole trip has been a learning experience from what it would be like to live and stay a week at like a resort like Old Key West or All-Star Movies. That was a big thing. One thing you didn't mention that kind of got overlooked probably for somebody like us who are very new to this whole process was the busing system and how simple it makes it. If I want to go to Disney Springs, there's a bus that says Disney Springs on it. If I'm taking my family to Epcot, that's a big thing. And so to have that right on property, to walk to a stop that's conveniently located, and have that just struggle of where do I park, how far am I parking, at the end of the day, am I carrying two kids on my back, or am I carrying one, or am I handing it off to my wife who carries the family at all times?
Right.
So that was another thing that kind of was a benefit of staying on property. So those are things that every family has to consider.
Yeah, and I think you made a good point. This trip for you, again, revisiting it, you visited once as an adolescent with your mom and dad and your brother here and other siblings, and then once when you were in college, age. So this was a learning experience for your whole family right now with the two kids and Jenny. So this is kind of feeling it out because you discover, are we or aren't we park people, right? Because some people, I'm kind of in the middle. I love the parks, but I love to be able to say, you know what, I'm a DVC member. I don't have to sweat this. I'm going back to the room. I'll do it next year. Or I'm not going to stand in line at a ride for 2.5 hours because I know I'm going to be back here next year. Or for Gail and I, we're this is end of March. We're coming back in May for a long weekend, and we're coming back in November for a week. Just the two of us. So we don't have to sweat that. So yours is an area of discovery. So it's not really fair to say to you, how much research have you done? You've been doing research all week.
Well, just like Sean's been leeching off of staying with you, I leached off his research. And
There you go. Fair enough.
In the family.
Fair enough.
But yeah, no, I think all that stuff is a big learning experience. That you always got to weigh. But I enjoyed it. I think what we learned is our family is definitely not a 4 parks and 4 days family.
Those of you that are, you're interesting breed of people because I can't do it anymore.
Well, I know you're going to your CrossFit training 2 times a day, so that's what that tells me when you can handle all that.
Yeah, back in the day we did it, but no more.
But
no more.
What I told Jenny from learning that was, one park and kind of figure out what works for your family,
Mhm.
what your kids'
Yeah.
age groups are, what they'll enjoy the most.
Right.
And figure that in. But to have just one park and be able to squeeze it maybe in the middle of the vacation to have a nice relaxing when you get down, because traveling
Right.
can have its own stresses, right?
Right.
Get settled in, become familiar with everything, and then end the trip with a relaxing thing instead of go 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 is a
Right.
positive thing. But
Yeah.
overall, it's been a magical experience as always.
Yeah.
You hear everybody say about it, and it's definitely given me things to think about.
Well, awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys were down here with our family this week. Enjoyed being with the kids and with you guys. And as with Sean, our door's always open at DVC
Appreciate that.
for you and your family.
Unless I'm on the couch already.
Yeah, right. Well, I was just gonna say we kind of got to schedule that, because that gets to be a lot of people, obviously. So we got to kind of work that out, and fairness to each of you. But have really enjoyed it. So there you go, folks. Is DVC right for you? Only you know that. But here, Sean's done research. He's been here several times. Lauren is doing research live as he's experiencing it with the family. But I got to tell you, if they were on the fence at all, last night we were at Magic Kingdom for the extra hours and the fireworks show. And I videotaped his family watching, the kids and Jenny watching the fireworks, and Tinkerbell coming across. She flew. And that was a magical moment, just watching their expressions with everything that was going on at that night. So Disney does it, they do it right. So that's just a couple of opinions from a couple of guys that I happen to know and love. So I hope it's helpful for you guys. Thank you for watching our channel. We appreciate it very much. Share your comments about what your family does as far as research. Is it right? Is it for your family? And as always, thank you for watching our DVC journey, and we'll see you on our next DVC journey. Bye.
Right.